kind of believe like if I watch this whole thing through, then Amanda's gonna get even more views. Like I really want her to get the publicity and the love that she has, and for her to see it. And I want her to focus on it more too. If I could tell her one thing, yeah, he did a really amazing job. Because like I said, if she was on anybody else's podcast, I just don't think Amanda Seales was on this platform sharing her story with Shannon Sharpe, sharing the very masculine dominated industry, are written by white people. You know it was a white person's idea, right? But then they decided to hire, black voice actors or some black writers to say, no, this is a black show. And when really it's really not. There's no feminine energy leaders in this industry. I'm going to explain what I mean in a second. It's like, that's what I said. I was like, if I was her coach, this is what I would tell her. I feel like the industry is getting a little desperate. And desperate for what, right? Desperate for what? Desperate for, let me just check this. Okay. I think we are good to go. Okay, I think we're good to go. I was going to sing that, but we ain't going to get into that. Let's get into it. So I wanted to talk today about Amanda Seales. Okay, we're going to continue on that conversation that we had in the car. Not really a conversation, more like a lecture, because I was the only one talking. Conversation. You need two people. So, Amanda Seales, like I said in the car, I love her so much. She is a revolutionary on her own. Okay, I think I went into a really deep rant about why she is such an amazing human being. And at some point, I will have a series called Amazing Human Beings, where I will interview incredible human beings. But until we get to that point, this is what we got. Okay. So I wanted to talk about the little podcast episode that she's had with Club Shay, Shannon Sharpe, because I feel like, well, one, I think she deserves to get her flowers. She deserves to have a space where she can really voice the injustices that she has been through in this industry by not playing the game. And I know, in the episode, Shannon, he talks about, he's like, you got to learn how to play the game. And she's like, now I know how to play the game. But, in my humble opinion, let's change the game. Why not change the game? Why not? There's not enough people who are changing the game. And I think it's part of the reason why the entertainment industry is failing. It is literally going downhill. We already know about the music industry. I feel like entertainment, it's slowly going down. It's slowly going down because, and this is why I say this, because they are, if you see the TV shows, if you see and compare the TV shows that are out now compared to the TV shows that were being released 10, 20 years ago, the quality is just, I don't want to say this. I don't think it's not that it's not the same, right? There's still some really good quality TV shows. But I feel like the industry is getting a little desperate. They're getting a little desperate. I think that's how I'm going to put it. They're getting super desperate. I think the biggest example of this, and desperate for what, right? Desperate for what? Desperate for your attention. Y'all have got to realize, and I think I've said this so many times on this channel, and I'll continue to say it again and again. Your attention is everything. The thing you give attention to is the thing you're gonna get most of in your life, or more of in your life. And that's really how you want to really navigate life, is through really understanding the human power of attention and intention. Okay. That's a topic for another conversation, okay? But my point is, the entertainment industry is getting so desperate for people's attention, and maybe probably most likely the younger generation's attention, right? Because right now, the younger generations, I won't say everybody, but really the younger generations, they're not really watching TV. They're not really, and you notice this too. I'll talk about how, the evidence for this too. They're not watching TV, they're on their phones, they're watching TikTok, maybe YouTube, but mostly TikTok at this point, because TikTok is what? Free. But free in what context? We'll get to that in a second. So like I said, nobody's really watching TV. If you notice this on TV, on cable, what are the commercials now? They're all, commercials for pharmaceuticals. Who is thinking about pharmaceuticals? It's not me. It's not my generation. It's not the younger people. It's the older people, because they're really the only ones who are watching cable TV at this point. Okay. So the entertainment industry is kind of at this point where it's kind of there's a lot of sinkholes that are falling. That's how I'm gonna put it. And they're trying to patch up those sinkholes with like cardboard. And it's just not working. And I say the cardboard is those like really ridiculous, just inaccurate and just, I don't know. I always say this, you know, it's like one of those TV shows that you kind of, you know, are written by white people. You know it was a white person's idea, right? But then they decided to hire, you know, black voice actors or some black writers to say, no, this is a black show. When really it's like, it's really not. But yeah, so they're really desperate for your attention, okay? So let's get back to the Amanda Seales podcast. We're gonna pivot there in a second. Give me a second. They're really desperate for your attention, and so because everything is kind of falling apart at this point, we see it every day, especially in this year. Because everything is falling apart, it is providing opportunities for new foundations to be built and be successful. Okay, because you can build a foundation, but might not be successful. Or you can build a foundation, but it might not be contributing to society for like a decade or 2 decades, you know? So like there's different, y'all know what I mean, right? There's different ways of doing this. The conversation that she had is very pivotal because it is empowering people, empowering the alt Hollywood. I don't even want to put the alt Hollywood, but it really is empowering, you know, all of those stories that we've heard over the years of people getting blackballed, of people, you know, you see this with Disney Channel stars, like the kids, not always, but you know, the ones who got in, didn't like it and got out. We hear the stories of how terrible this industry is, to be honest. And so it's really great that Amanda Seales was on this platform sharing her story with Shannon Sharpe, sharing the very masculine dominated industry, whether or not, you know, and I say masculine as in the energy, right? The energy of masculinity is in this industry, okay? I'm very confident that there's no feminine energy leaders in this industry. I'm going to explain what I mean in a second. So what I mean by masculine dominated. Masculine, and I want to say like toxic masculinity, right? When you think of toxic masculinity, it's like, you know, not expressing emotions, not acknowledging other people's emotions. This whole, how do you say? This whole way of communicating. Oh God, do I want to say it? We're going to say it. Communicating like a reptile. I don't want to say it like that. We ain't gonna go there. We ain't gonna go there. But the communication, right? The speaking with like your face and not with your words, not meaning what you say, beating around the bush, you know, saying, oh, I don't lie, but you're not telling the whole truth. That kind of toxic masculinity. And maybe that could even be in some ways toxic femininity also. I mean, whatever, however y'all want to put it. I'm just here. Really. This industry is dominated by that culture. Whether or not the person who is in that leadership position is a male or female doesn't matter. It does not matter. I think this conversation really points to that. It's one of those things that's like, you either get with the program or you get lost. And I think Amanda, because she has committed to who she is and not allowing the industry to change that, she's had moments where she felt lost, but then every single time she has these moments where she feels lost. A couple days later, a week later, she bounces back. She pivots and she's even higher than before. Like it's her story is so good. Her story is so good. Y'all don't even know. You don't even realize how magical that human being is. But she's really just an incredible human being. Oh my God. But it's amazing that she's on this platform sharing her truth. I mean, she's always been doing this. This is the other cool thing about Amanda Seales. You know, I think a lot of people will be exposed to who she is from this podcast episode, especially younger generations. You know, because like, for example, my little brothers, they know who Shannon Sharpe is. They probably don't know who Amanda Seales is until they watch this video or clips from this video, okay? If they do. But she's always been like this from the jump. Like that's why I really, we need more people like her in the industry. And we need more people like her in entertainment. Honest people, genuine people who are going to tell you what they mean. They're going to tell you how they feel. And you know what's amazing? You know, when you go back to the podcast, she talks about her efforts to communicate, which is amazing. Because it's one thing to be the person who's like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel, and then we're not gonna talk about it anymore. Like it's one thing to be that person, but then it's another thing to be like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. Let's have a conversation about it, because I don't really like this energy. I don't think anybody else likes this energy. Let's find a solution. It's two very different people. Okay, very different people. And sometimes some people are the first version and then they grow up to be the second version. Hopefully that's a lot of y'all. Okay, come on. We gotta move it along. We gotta grow. But yeah, it's so important. So I think that's it. I think that's really what I wanted to say about the Amanda Seales podcast. Sorry. The Shannon Sharpe podcast featuring Amanda Seales really was hers. Okay. It was her podcast. And I really do want to say, like, to Shannon Sharpe, I think he really tried. He really tried. I don't think he was really prepared. And his editors did a really good job, because I think a lot of the stuff wasn't in the order that it appeared in the actual podcast episode. Okay, not really a pro tip, but more like an insider tip. Okay. And I kind of picked up on that. I was like, okay, they moved this around. But it's still amazing that he has a big heart. I can really say that, because I feel like a lot of people who are like, I feel like Shannon Sharpe is a good example of someone tapped in, a male who is tapped into his femininity, because I know a lot of males who would have just argued with Amanda throughout that whole podcast. Literally, like, they would have just like argued with her, but he didn't. He listened. He's like, okay, let me listen. He knew to take a step back and literally take a seat back and just listen. And so I really applaud him for that, because that, to me, that shows me a man who is tapped into the more feminine aspects of himself. Anyway, my point is, he did an amazing job as I think a person who, I feel like somebody should have prepared him a little bit more. I think that's what I would say about that. But he did a really amazing job listening. I mean, at the end of the interview, he got a hug from Amanda. So I feel like that is a sign that he was on the right track. I feel like God was really with him in those moments, where he was kind of, I don't want to say forced to listen, but I feel like, God was telling him, no, sit back, Shannon, just listen to her, because her what she's saying is valid, and she actually represents millions of people around the world who have been in this industry that have gone through the same thing that she has. So I really applaud him. He did a really amazing job, because like I said, if she was on anybody else's podcast, I just don't think it would have gone the same way. Maybe not anybody else's, but I don't, if she was on the Hotep show, that's one. We ain't gonna say, I'm not gonna say who I'm referencing, but really it's like Hotep 3.0, but we're not gonna go there. So if she was on the Hotep 3.0 show, I don't think she would have been able to really, it wouldn't have been a platform for her to fully express what she had gone through and her efforts to not allow the industry to change her. And I think I think it's amazing that Shannon provides this platform for this. I think he's really become the new platform for this. Although, looking at some of his past guests, I was like, he really, I don't put this, I feel like he's fencing it a little bit. He kind of is, but it's cool. I think he's going back to, let's just focus on the truth. And I think his platform will ultimately become a space for people to speak their truths. And I guess, maybe to appease some Hollywood people, he has to put, some celebrities on there who don't really, I don't think I need to say anything else. We don't communicate like a reptile right now. I'm joking. Am I? But yeah, like for real. I think that was a beautiful interview. I watched the whole thing straight through, nonstop, because I really, low key, I kind of believe, like, if I watch this whole thing through, then Amanda's gonna get even more views. Like, I really want her to get the publicity and the love that she has, and for her to see it, and I want her to focus on it more too. If I could tell her one thing, it's like, that's what I said. I was like, if I was her coach, this is what I would tell her. Like, she needs to get her mindset. She needs to shift her mindset around people. This whole story that she's telling herself that certain people are out here to get her, and I really would like to empower her to change her mindset around that. Let go of that limiting belief. That's what I would say. Let go of that limiting belief. Because it's not true. It's not true. So anyway, that's it. That's what I'm gonna post for this week's video. I love y'all so much. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week. Peace.